Hey, SpeakEasy Podcast listeners. I am back. It's your host, Altovise, the voice coach, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. But this episode, this one right here is it's going to be a banger. You're probably going to listen to this episode at least a good 3 times on average. I mean, I'm not putting it out into the atmosphere or anything. I'm just letting you know. So, why, for one, those of you who follow me on social media, especially if you've connected with me on Clubhouse, you've heard me do a couple little poems here and there. Poetry is still in my veins. Being a writer is still in my veins. But not just that. When you looked at the title, The Tongue of a Foster Child, man, that can be unpacked in so many different ways. I had the opportunity to connect with this amazing person. Hello, Ambition, the poet.
What up? What up?
I feel like there should be like some intro music coming out right now, right?
I hear the crowd's going crazy. They're going crazy.
Right? Super excited for all that you have done and continue to do. So I want you to tell the studio audience a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive into this whole topic today.
Okay. Who am I? My name is Ambition, the poet. I'm the first foster care poet in the history of the United States. And what that basically means is that I'm a poet who uses my story, which is foster care, to talk about kids that grew up just like me. They're in the suburbs, they're in your hood, they're in the countryside of your state. And some of them will not give or tell the stories because it's horrifying to them. So it's my job to almost be the journalist and speak on their behalf consistently, consecutively in different areas of the country, and making sure that you are aware that they're around you and know they're not just in the city, they're not just in some poor area, they are in rich areas too. They're all over, and some of them are adults now, former foster care alum, and you will never know because they don't want to talk about that part of their lives, because quite frankly, that is putting a smudge or talking about the darkness as it relates to their parents and their family. So my job is just to make sure that I give true accounts of people like me and the true account of my story. And it's for legacy and it's for historical purposes. So that's really what sums up me. I come from a part of Philly called North Philly, something called Nicetown. That was the last foster home that I remember that I was in. And then I was raised in Sicklerville, New Jersey. And so I'm technically a hybrid, someone who struggled with location, identification problems, and then also a self-identification crisis as well as a foster child. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, I'm guessing. Just talking about some of the struggles of what it's like to come from the city and then literally be raised in the suburbs. It's 2 different worlds and took some time to adjust. So the stories and the poems and the fiction that I write is all based out of the pain, suffering, and some of the angry frustrations and imaginations all combined together. That's all in my books, all in my teachings, and all of in some of the speeches that I do. Is all of that just a big ball of fire, just exploding on microphones and on the pages of these books.
Now, it's so significant because for so many years, let's just be honest, it's, children are to be seen and not heard. And unfortunately, because so many generations before us has had, this same mentality, we've literally cut off the voice of our youth, which now has equated to our adults that feel as though they have no voice, our adults that feel as though what they went through and what they endured was not valid and valuable. And it's so hard, and so I love that you're coming at it from this angle because you are opening up that conversation piece. Now, what led you to say, you know what, it's going to start with me?
Well, I think what was happening was I was being bullied in the suburbs in the sense of, I know you're a foster kid and I know that you don't know your real mom and where is your real mom. And so I'm getting bullied from that angle, and I'm coming back to my foster mom like, yo, they're right. I don't have nothing to say back. What do I do? Where I'm lost. And she says, I love this. She says, go back outside. It's this, and I'm going to make a phrase about this in the whole book around this, about go back outside. And at the time, you would go outside to really hang and get to meet people, which is different now. But at that time, I would just keep going outside and people would come at me and I would come inside. My mom's like, yeah, go back outside. In fact, who told you that being a foster kid was your poison or put you at a disadvantage? I chose you. Remember who you are, because your parents' mistake and you had no choice in this matter. So they're putting it on you. They're bullying you, but they don't really know why you're even here. So you're trying to articulate something to someone as a child. Mentally, they don't understand why you're here. And if they did, they really wouldn't make fun of it. And so she kept building me with self-love and making sure that my internal voice was bigger than my external voice. And so she's like, you got to love yourself. What does it matter who you are and where you come from? What do you say about yourself? Look at your life now. And so I end up taking what was bullied and saying, you're right. That is the truth. The truth is that I'm a foster kid, and I don't think you could even survive what I went through in the first 8 years. With all respect to you, y'all talking about me, but guess what I am? Look how strong I am. Look where I came from and look what I'm becoming. And I'm not afraid to tell you from now on that I'm a foster kid and that I do come from Philly. This is not no fake stuff, right? Because at the time, in the suburbs, you get a lot of people who say they from the Philly and they say they from the city, but they're lying.
Ooh, yes, indeedy.
I couldn't lie because you could see it. There wasn't no frauding with me, you know. So I'm like, yes, y'all say y'all from Philly, but you can tell I'm really from what part you come from, because the way I look and the way you, there's two different ways. And if you know anything about the 90s and the 80s, we looking like we really come from Philly, depending on the section. So with all respect, I know what I am. And that type of empowerment came.
That is
10 years. Woo. And then it transferred into my art and who I am to carry myself to. Yeah.
I'm sitting here like on fire right now. Like, oh my goodness, yes. When you just said that she told you to go back outside, so I think about my mother and I think about how I learned how to stand up for myself when it came to physically fighting. And it was because literally she had a moment where she said, okay, well, you either gonna fight them or fight me. Well, I wasn't fitting to fight my mama. And she knew right. But the reality is that that's what we go through on a day-to-day basis. Like every time we step out, every time we open our mouths, every time we get on a stage, every time we post and publish a book, I'm either going to fight what's going on in this world or I'm going to fight myself. And I don't need to keep fighting myself. I fought myself long enough.
That's so good. I agree.
We fought ourselves long enough.
Going back out there, you can't beat me. I've been through so much. There's no way you beat me now. If you was gonna beat me, it probably would have been in the childhood years.
Yeah, you would have had to come for me then.
Yeah, you had to come for me when I was like 11. But now that I'm in my adult years, listen, you're gonna need another 1,000 to probably 10,000 y'all to mentally stop what I'm trying to do. That's how strong some of us are, especially coming from that Philadelphia region. It's mentally, it's one of the toughest, roughest. I mean, you're not going to make it. If you can make it and survive through that, I mean, you could go anywhere in America or in the world, really, and be mentally prepared for it. So that's kind of how I taken it, and that's why I wear it the way I wear it,
I love it. What was the first poem that you ever wrote?
Oh, it was trash.
I don't remember. What was it about?
It was, I don't know. I was trying to, when I first came on, I was just trying to like sound very smart and intelligent.
Got it.
And I remember I going to this venue when I do this poem and my nephew was like, bro, no, it's not good. I'm like, what are you saying? He's like, you know what you have to do. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. And he didn't even have to say that. I knew he was saying, talk about your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what time it is. Why are you trying to do this anyway? You got to go tell the truth about who you are. And I'm wrestling like, you know what that means? I got to go through the whole thing. It's anger, it's darkness there. And that was the whole time I'm like trying to like, live regular. I'm working, I got a good job. I'm not even mentioning foster care to people. No, I'm raised in Jersey. Yes, absolutely. My name's changed and he tells me like, nah, you got to go back and tell people what you really are. What happened, the truth. And then I wrote, This is Revenge of the Foster Kid, which is the first poem and From the Tongue of a Foster Child, one book. And that changed the way people even listened to me. Once I started telling the truth about how I felt about, my life as a foster child.
Ooh, I love how you made that transition. Oftentimes people hear us. They hear us talk about what we've been through. They hear us talk, but are they listening?
Mm-hmm.
And you said when you make that transition, that's when people started to listen. I'm over here getting all the feels. Yes. Okay, so going from the trash first poem to NAACP and Temple University and Wells Fargo Center, how did the transition happen?
Once you start being authentic, the rest will come. And rejection is sometimes like when you get rejected in a particular area, you just have to pivot and find where the people want you at. And one of my mentors talked about, don't go where they tolerate you, go to where you appreciate it, not tolerate it. So I would do those poems in venues, poetry venues, but the love wasn't really in poetry venues. Nonprofit people started to reach out, comedians started to reach out, people that was just doing things in the community with their events started to reach out. And that's how I end up getting to Temple University. Was a guy who I don't know where he saw me at, but he was on the Black Student Union at Temple, and they had through an amazing event. He's like, yo, we can't talk about what's going on in our community without your story. We can't do it. And so I'm like, okay, like come there and we do our thing there. So sometimes it's really just putting your work and meeting certain people who are not even in the poetry world, but want to see you in a different light and want to put you in position of power and show other people what it's like. And they believe that my story is real. And then they reach out, so that's kind of how that all happens.
I love it. I love it. SpeakEasy Podcast listeners, one of the things that we often do is I make sure that we're connecting with people to inspire you, but also to see that no matter what your story is, there's something on the other side. And oftentimes we get into our own head because we say, oh, well, this is just a hobby. This is just something that I do. This is just a gift that I have. And the reality is that oftentimes the things that you have, that you're good at, the things that you're passionate about can also be a business, can also be a way that you're bringing in revenue on a consistent basis. And so for you, when did it go from me just wanting to say, okay, I'm going to share this poem here and I just want the exposure or the opportunity to, you know what, this is actually a business and let's start putting ourselves in position to bring in this revenue?
I think once you get around, so that's the thing about difference between me and other poets. I really came up through business entrepreneur groups. I didn't really come up through poetry groups. So when I first got into Philly, the scene, I was more into business entrepreneurs, and they were already thinking like, this is how you do it. You're going to create a book. You're going to be an author instead of just a poet. Be a writer instead of just a poet. Be a coach. I'm a poetry coach now instead of just a poet. So every single thing that was in my reach through what I do is monetization time. So I was already helping people with poetry, helping them sound better, helping them, be a better speaker, orator, to build confidence because they like my confidence as I was on stage. Okay, that's a coaching program. People are calling me all the time to talk about strategically what they should do next. That's consultant. So as long as you are around business people and you have the creativity, you'll be fine. But the two has to meet each other. And I think too many creatives stay around creatives and they don't talk to the business community and vice versa. And you'll get some people who are both. But yeah, I talk to business people. I just had a conversation with a business person because we're trying to take our play to Atlanta, and I was breaking down all the numbers and all of that. With all respect, I can't talk to another poet about that. I mean, I can talk to him about what I want to do and the amazing creative things I would love to do. But when it comes to dollars and cents, you got to talk to people who know what's up with the numbers, who's good with business, right?
Indeed,
That's
indeed.
kind of why you have, your circle needs to be made up of creatives as well as the business community and mentors and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I didn't even know about the play. That was a whole other thing that you just gonna drop that gem. You're just gonna slide that in there. Okay, okay. I man, I love what you said about your circle as well, because oftentimes when we've come from a scenario that may have been a trauma-filled scenario, it may have been a scenario where, we always talk about starting from the bottom, now we here, and things of that nature. There is a desire to stay connected to that friend group or that circle that you have in the midst of the situation. Did you find yourself, I know you said you had to go and talk to business people and, look at who you had as mentors and things. Did you find yourself having a mental struggle when it came time to say, okay, y'all are friends and that's good, but I need to do something else. I need somebody else in my circle that can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think it was hard because at first I'm gonna go at it by myself. As Black people, we're kind of more like, man, we don't need nobody. We're gonna do this, just me, you, and myself. But you gotta have the team. You can't do it without the team. And I realized that literally through the Avengers. I love Iron Man, but when it came down to it and it was getting a little crazy, he like, we gotta go get some people. We gotta go into the X region to find this person. And that's kind of when you want to do something as big as a play like I did, I had to go get my poetic friends. Then I had to go get a person that's not a poet, that was the person that's doing the interview. I had to get another amazing lady called Yvonne McCoy, who was the preaching part of my play, who was in ministry. So I had to get different people to do what it is I'm trying to do on a massive scale, right? So we did a poetic stage play. Now the poetry has to meet acting. And so now I got a lady named Nettie, who's a poet, but it's really her power and gifting is also in acting. So I got to sit down with her. How does it sound? What is it supposed to look like? Right. And so then I have the sound people and light people, and then I got to talk to script people. So when you are trying to do something massive, now it takes more people. And so it was a struggle, but now I understand when you're looking at somebody who says they're a billionaire, you're not looking at the person as a billionaire. You're looking at their systems. Look at the system they have. That's why they're a billionaire, because there's so many different people who are all working on that billionaire's behalf that makes it work. So we had people doing everything: the door, temperature, light, sound, script writing. Is it right? Timing. I had to make sure everything is right. Food, makeup. So it's a whole lot of things. And you do that, you get bigger results when you get a bigger team that is serious and that are in alignment with you.
Ooh, it's the puzzle pieces for me.
Yeah.
Putting all the puzzle pieces together to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And we already have these people in our lives. We don't think so.
Wait. You're not going to drop that. You gotta say it again.
Because I know what's happening. You're probably thinking, I gotta go get the boy that I saw on Clubhouse who got 10,000. No, for this point in your life, at this moment, at this time, the people are already in your life right now. Or you can find them. And I know that you're like, I don't really know. That's true. Because I'm thinking like, yo, I gotta get the biggest poet I can find because they're gonna get and some guy was like, excuse you, the people you need, you already know. Go ask them and tell them the vision. So I went to regular people, not trying to get the most popular, regular people who are already building with me, who have gifts that I already recognize. See, when you're trying to go after somebody else, you gotta you think you know what their gift is, but you gotta research and kind of know. There are people in your life that are already gift given, and you're skipping them looking for somebody else when you should be using the people around you who already have gifts, and then you gotta put them in position. So you got that strong buff dude. Yo, I want to throw an event. Guess who's security? You. Hey girl, I love the way you always trying to make stuff, scheduling. You always trying to tell us what needs to be done in order. Oh, your administration for the day. You love to do so that's how they're already in your life, but we're missing it. We're thinking it's other people. We're thinking it's money, and the resources are within people. Some of it's money, and a lot of it's in people. But we don't know that. We think that the money or the one person is, and we really kind of already have it around us. If we ask them humbly, can they agree to help us do one thing? And it'll change your life from there. Absolutely.
Ooh. I told y'all this was going to be a good episode, y'all. I told you were going to listen to this one a couple times. I warned you ahead of time.
They don't know. They don't
know. I tried to warn them.
But on Clubhouse, they don't really know what they're missing out there.
This has been a phenomenal episode, but I cannot let you leave without giving us a poem. I can't, in my whole heart of hearts, let you leave without letting you drop something on the mic, because I'm just me.
Something, huh? Okay.
Something, a little appetizer, something.
Little something. All right. You want me to do that right now? You sure right now?
Do that right now.
Okay.
No preparation, no intro.
All right. So, in the play, there was a particular part. And if you get my book, the play is the reflection of the book called A Foster Child's Interview. That's my last book, just dropped. The ebook is $25. You got to go get that. But you'll see in the one particular part of the book, the journalist asked me, what would I say to foster kids that are coming up? And are there any examples you would give to them that people that they could really look up to? And I said, it's interesting that you say people, but there's cartoons that I think that we missed that foster kids could learn from. See, we are Cinderella. Some of us really hated our kinship care, and we wanted to save the evils out of our aunties. And some of those houses had demons that kept bringing us flowers for our trauma anniversaries. No, we are like the chipmunks. Some of us are songbirds and have melodies and harmonies that can unlock the heartache. And that's why I tell these foster kids all the time that their past makes them certified consultants to help the human race fatigue smile. See, we are Bam Bam from Flintstones. I didn't know he was a foster kid too. See, that's why I tell these babies that they could survive endless facilities and that the teens can walk out of burning group homes even while counselors are catching hernias trying to lift the burden of raising America's future. No, we are like Kung Fu Panda. I didn't know that little bear was a foster kid too. That's why when I watch that film, my facial muscles tugs on my lips edges and produces a curved smile. That's why I tell these kids all the time to make sure that you love someone new in your life. Make sure you match them in love, even if they have mismatching DNA. Did you hear what I say? See, we are like Batman. See, we are orphans, and some of us lost our parents. But I loved about Batman. No matter how much money he got, he still remembered to tell evil that there will not be no paralysis in his tongue. And this is not a comic book. Our villains are abusive foster care parents and sex traffickers. No, we are Goku from Dragon Ball Z. I didn't know he was a foster kid too. I learned from Goku one thing in that show. Maybe to make sure that I watch my anger, to love myself like I love my neighbor. I learned that from that Jesus dude that was born in the manger. So when they ask me what would I tell the foster kids, I would say the examples are shown in our history. It's embroidered in all of our cartoons. See, his messaging is performing ballet through the terrain of all of our children's books. And somebody in America may say, when are you going to get over it? Foster kids, make sure that we've applied. Do they know what it's like to try to archive the trauma that bangs in the cabinet, that rattles in our hippocampus? You see, our childhood carved the warrior, our abandonment sculpted our toughness, for it was the blueprint for all of our future encounters. And when you see a bunch of cells around me, don't get nervous. That's just my angels colliding silhouettes. But for everybody in the world that went through something, just know that it was worth it. The devil tried to destroy most of us, but he ended up creating one thing that he forgot about, and that's called purpose. We are foster kids.
I almost threw this legs out. Oh, it was so good. Oh man, SpeakEasy Podcast listeners, I hope y'all, I told you, I warned you. I warned you.
Fire to him.
Like, oh my goodness. When you have a gift, guys, please stop hiding your gift. Please stop hiding your gift, thinking that it can't be something that is a business. Please stop hiding your gift, not realizing that it can help heal this nation. Please stop hiding your gift. Because guess what? Whatever it is that you have is valid and valuable. It is valid and valuable. And I've seen people go and from being a ventriloquist to being a speaker. I've seen people go and just start with having a magic store and doing magic tricks to then they went and started having online classes. Like I've seen people make these transformations, guys. It starts with just you showing up.
That's good.
It starts with you showing up. This is going to be a whole nother episode. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Let them know how they can reach you online and where they can get the books and where they can get more information about the play as well.
Yeah. The book is ambitionthepoet.com. Yeah, if you go on ambitionthepoet.com, you'll be able to get the book. And ambitionthepoet.com, if you keep checking back there, you'll see I'm going to do some of you guys missed it in person, but I'm going to do a watch party on Facebook. You will have to pay for that, but keep coming back to the website. Everything will be done through the website, so you get the book. The book is not on Amazon, but you can get the other 3 books on Amazon, From the Tongue of a Foster Child 1, 2, and 3. And then I also have a clothing line for young brown and black and brown children all across the globe called Ambicito by Harper, which is amazing right now. A lot of kids is loving it. Adults is loving it. I want you to go check that out as well. But if you look on ambitionthepoet.com, Instagram, Ambition the Poet, Facebook, Ambition the Poet, Google, YouTube, Ambition the Poet, you're going to find me. So, yeah, just look out for that. But mainly stuff that you want to buy and want to support, coaching, books, got to go to ambitionthepoet.com. It'll be there for you just waiting.
Most definitely. So I'm going to be shouting it from the mountaintops, not only because, come on, Philly. Before I left, I was at 16th and Erie. Listen, EA all day, okay? Ooh. So that's before I left. That don't include living at 23rd and Jefferson and living in Albany. And come on, I can pull out
They don't even look the same no more. They changed all that.
Oh, I know they did. They had to. Listen.
Yeah, it was wild though.
It was wild. I'm like, I can pull out the addresses for you.
Yeah. They got people walking doggies now. I'm like, you couldn't walk your dog.
You listen. First of all, if you had a dog, it was a pit or it was a rock.
Rottweiler. Yep. You couldn't.
Don't you come outside with a little foo-foo dog, that dog get eaten. You better
That
go.
dog is getting stolen and you couldn't jog. There's no jogging around here. Like, what?
No, what are you doing? But no,
With
for
the
those of
hair-
you that don't know, Philly has done a lot of revitalization, and they have rebuilt a lot of different parts of Philadelphia. So I know even before I left, even at 16th and Erie, they were taking a lot of those 3-story buildings and making them into apartments, and which was great because you know that's TU Nation, that's all TU. So
Right.
people would go and rent quick, and you just, that was years ago. That was 10 years ago, 10, almost 11 years ago. And so I know it's been even more developed now.
Yep.
Man, oh my goodness, I'm excited. Thank you so much for being a guest and spending your time with me today. I appreciate every bit of it. Not just that though, thank you for what it is that you're doing, for being a voice for youth that have been in foster care. Thank you for being a voice as a African-American male. I'm going to push everything you do. I'm going to push it to the forefront. Why? Because seeing you win means we all win in some way, somehow. So I appreciate you guys, SpeakEasy Podcast listeners, because guess what? Without you, there would be no SpeakEasy Podcast. That is why we put it out there. Make sure you let us know how this episode resonated with you by leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Altovise Pelzer. Don't forget to press it out. See ya.